Anybody else?
I haven't heard from anybody else. Either way,
Well, here we are again, once again. Welcome to Inner Journey Thrive on Thursday. If you're joining us for the first time online, welcome. Inner Journey is based out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and all of its members and participants are scattered all over the country. My name is Kevin McGhee. I come to you from Southern Delaware. And tonight it is my honor and blessing, I guess, it's a blessing to be giving the talk. Um, it has been a weird few months, I think, for all of us. For myself, I find it very enlightening in some ways, and sometimes I need a little extra prayer time and meditation. And with that, I'm going to invite Reverend Lynn to open our night for a prayer before we begin our talk.
you're mute.
What's your topic, Kevin?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay, that
God
sounds
speaks.
perfect. As I sit here, I go within and know absolutely that this circle tonight for Thrive is guided by the presence of Divine Source, that each individual has come at this time, a divine appointed time, to be present to hear Kevin reveal the truth. I know that there are only three of us here tonight, but every individual that is a member of this team and everyone that views this on YouTube is also included in this circle. For there's no separation in time and space. It is all here right now. It is in this moment that I take this breath and know that God is right here. So we come together with open hearts and an open mind, and knowing that there is only one, knowing that love is the only truth between souls and the only language that really brings us together in fullness and in wholeness. And I'm grateful to know that truth. I'm grateful to be present and knowing that what is revealed tonight is something that gives each individual something to hold on to and guide them. And that is good and very good. So I give thanks for this moment and I let it be. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you very much. That was beautiful. Right and perfect. So, with trying to decide what I wanted to speak about tonight, um, at this particular time, it was a bit of a challenge. And by chance, not particularly planned, a few quotes from a wonderful author and person who is no longer in this plane of experience and existence, but she's still very much alive and well in her work and thoughts, is Maya Angelou. And since it is February and Black History Month, I was like, how appropriate is that? So one of the things that I remembered that she did say was, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. The entire quote at the moment was, excuse me, I have to put my glasses on just to make sure I get this right. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. People know themselves much better than you do. That's why it's important to stop expecting them to be something other than who they are. And that was the full quote from the passage from when she originally said this back in early 2000s at some point. For me, I started thinking about it, and the bigger meaning behind that was there were some key points, I think, to be made. And when you're thinking about the people that we interact with each day, every day, and some that have an impact on our life that we don't even get to interact with, we have to trust our intuition. That's one of the major key points, I think, is, pay attention when your gut feeling, your intuitive self is saying there's something amiss here, or this person or situation that I'm involved in isn't working, or, be on guard. Or like I used to say, and when it was a relationship involved, I'm like, are there red flags like coming up and popping up in front of you? So many times when we decide we want something or we set our minds on something, we just go gung ho into it, and we want to defend our choice or our position. And sometimes we are negating the red flags that show up. Or one of the other points that I was mentioning, because there's a few that I came up with, another one is making excuses. It's like trying to rationalize or make excuses for the situation or the person, or whatever is happening that we should be paying attention to, and we're not connecting to the truth that's being shown to us, generally by the person we're working with or dealing with, or persons, or the ultimate situation, or um, uh, environment, surroundings that we happen to find ourselves in sometimes. So it's like we have a tendency to hold on to what our original belief was, or our original thought, and then we want to make excuses or rationalize why, well, this is happening or that's happening, and it's a red flag, but we rationalize our way past it. I think the key element is when someone or something is happening and it's showing us those red warnings and those red flags, and it's showing up, it's going to prevent us from moving forward in a healthy and positive way. And many times we end up creating situations that end up being painful and harmful and damaging, not only to ourselves, but sometimes the people that we care about that are around us, because of rationalizing our way past those red warning flags of a situation that we're in. And the key element, I think that the third point really is safeguarding ourselves and truly safeguarding the people that we care about that are around us, that we have any impact on with our choices and our belief system, as it were. Maya was so eloquent in the way she spoke, and I was privileged to have seen her speak once, and she was amazing. Her caged bird was, I wish I had it, I don't have it, but most people know it, why the caged bird sings. And that was another one of her works, because sometimes the cage door is actually open, and we don't even realize that we have the ability to get out of the cages that we create for ourselves. And sometimes the cages are created by circumstances and situations from people around us that have shown us who they are, but we negate those warning flags, those red warning flags that we see, because we just so truly want them to be what we expect them to be, or we hope them to be, or what we put our values towards them as. And as we do that, again, we can't move forward. And when we're trying to move forward and we're being blocked by ourselves ultimately and our belief systems, we end up creating a lot of anxiety and angst and negativity that blocks the flow of good things coming to us, that will keep generating negative things to keep us down, until we learn to let go of the negative belief systems that we have, or to stop holding on to someone's someone else's idea of who we should be or what we are, or um, just putting too much emphasis on what other people think, I would say. Um, I wish I could remember exactly what Maya had said when she was speaking, because she actually discussed this as part of her talk, was in a nutshell, and this was a different author that said this: what other people think of me is none of my business. And because we can't change what other people think of us, that's their thoughts, that's their prerogative, so on and so forth. But when we put our faith and power into another person and expect them to be what we think they should be, even though they've shown us in the past that they can't be that, who is the fool? Who is the person that's letting us down, ourselves down? Is it that other person, or is it us for not paying attention to what was shown to us to begin with, and continuing a charade, if you will, of putting our faith and value in somebody to do something? We're setting ourselves up for a fall. We're expecting somebody to do something and be something that they're not, and we're betting on that fact. And I think this happens to a lot of us. I know it happens to me, and if it happens to me, it must happen to others. I don't think I'm alone. And it's not just a regional thing, or it's all over the world. People all over the world are doing it because we put too much emphasis on wanting somebody else to do something the way we think they should. And then when they don't, we blame them, when in fact our disappointment in them is created from within to begin with, because we put that out there on somebody. How many times did I go out with somebody hoping that they would change after I dated them for a while and turn into somebody else, or I could change them? I know a lot of people that have said the same thing. And then we realize, hopefully faster sooner than later, which generally was my case, that that wasn't possible. And you move on. But there's some people that just won't let go. They won't let go of the idea of what this person should be in reference to them and their life, and they're just bound and determined that they can change them. And they end up getting hurt, wasting a lot of time. Sometimes other people in the peripheral get hurt also because of it, or God forbid, kids end up involved for relationship aspects. Um, so it's something to be an interesting dynamic, I would say, that we all have to look within ourselves to see what it is that we're projecting out. And if we are setting ourselves up for failure by who we put our faith into, um, nobody can give us happiness except ourselves. Our situations and our lives can be filled with joy and happiness, but it's always self-created. I can make the gloomiest day sunny if I choose to. And I learned this a few years back, that I can create my own sunshine. And in doing so, a lot of times that helps other people around me get a better mood. But my intention is to lift myself up and make myself feel better when I'm not having the best day, or I'm having a blue day, or I just am feeling like, what's the point? It's moving forward and moving in the direction of my dreams and what I want my life to be like. And sometimes there's outside things that happen that give the appearance of working against me, or against us, if you will. And I have to remind myself that even though that's the case, I'm still, at the moment, able to be proactive rather than reactive. And I can make choices that will help me move forward towards the life that I want and the life that I deserve, or I feel I deserve, without harming anybody else, and keeping myself safe and protecting myself and the people that I care and love around me, and the people that I know in my life and in my world. And my world is pretty vast. I have friends and people that I know and care about all over the world, all over the planet. And I would not want to see anybody harmed in any way by any outside source. And so I consider that as my foundation. And from that point, I find that the things that are mine to do show up. And if it means speaking up or speaking out or rising to the challenge, and it's doing something that helps others that may not even be in my country, they may not have anything to do with me on a day-to-day basis, but I know who they are and I care and I can make a difference in some way or somehow, then that's mine to do. So I do it, or I attempt to do it, or I find a way to um, shift my self perspective, even if it's just in raising up good positive thoughts, because sometimes that's all you can do is do thoughts and prayers. And I hate to say that because in this day and age, that seems to be a go-to with nothing behind it. But as a religious scientist and a practitioner retired, I know the power of thoughts and prayers. I've seen it happen and I've seen it work, and I still practice it. Um, life is short, and in some ways, it shows up as how fleeting and short it truly is. In the past 2 days, I found out that two people I knew, one very close personal friend of mine, just passed away the night before last. And I'm like, oh my God, I just talked to her like 2 weeks ago and she was feeling better. And she had been battling cancer. And another one, same scenario, a little over a month ago, same thing. I was out with one night dancing and she was on the dance floor. And I was saying, it's good to see you out. She goes, I'm feeling so much better. And a few days later, she died. So it's just, there are absolutely no guarantees for any of us. None. None whatsoever. And so every single day is a gift. It's a blessing for each one of us. We get up, we're alive, we're well, and to make choices that create something positive and good and that helps lift other people, I think for myself, is one of the things that I try to do every day. Sometimes it's just in the words that I write on Facebook that somebody may see, or on Blue Sky that somebody may see. And sometimes I get feedback, so I know they've seen it, or somebody says something to me. So even if it's one person, it makes a difference. It's worth me posting, every morning, even if it's just for one person. If I reach one person, it's worth it. So that's a little bit of my time in my day. But if I help somebody, it's worth it. It's worth my time. It's worth my effort. And I think that's one of the things that helps me always move in the direction of where I'm always supposed to be. And I get to that moment and then I keep looking forward to what's next. Where am I supposed to be next? How am I supposed to be showing up now? How do I want to show up tomorrow? Can't worry about yesterday. I can't do anything about it. So I always have to focus, and I think everyone should, on how do I show up in my next moment, in my next action, in what I am putting out for people to see. What am I doing? Is it lifting others up? Is it tearing other people down? Is it sounding the alarm for whatever? There's been times in my life when I had to run into a burning building once because I knew somebody was in a wheelchair, and it was a building just down the street from where I lived. And I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. And I was like, I didn't even think about it. I just pulled my leather jacket over my head and went in, grabbed her. She was quite a big girl, but I managed to pick her up and get her out of the building. And she was young, but her mother was just like, "Oh my God." And I was like, so, we do what we need to do in the moment, but so much of what we can do, we actually have more than a moment to think about. We don't have to have that instant reaction of, "Oh my God, there's a fire. What am I going to, how can I help?" It's, if I had thought about it, would I run into a burning building? Probably not. But, you know, in the moment, you do what you do. That's an adrenaline rush. You do what you do.
Right.
It's amazing how much you can pick up when you're in an adrenaline rush when you're picking somebody up bigger than you are. But anything's possible. And I think that for me personally, I like to remind myself that anything's possible. And absolutely anything can happen in any moment of any day, any given day, that can shift the consciousness of not only myself, those around me, people that I know on the other side of the world. Things happen, and the only thing between me and a friend of mine in Australia, for example, is space and air. I mean, there's literally nothing between us except air, if you think about it. So, with that idea, I think I just wanted to put everything that I was thinking regarding this. And again, it started from my reading the wonderful Maya Angelou, and a lot of profound thoughts and how they may fit into each one of our lives. And for those of you listening after the fact, how it will give you some direction, a little extra hope, empowerment for what's possible, so that even in the roughest times when it feels like there's no point or it's hopeless, there's still always hope. And there is still always that chance of something shifting and changing around you. And you just never know where it's going to come from or from whom it's going to come. It may be a person, it may be a dog, it may be a cat. My dogs have in the past helped me shift my consciousness dramatically. Sometimes just doing something that you enjoy. Um, for myself, I love to garden in the season. I love tearing things down and reconstructing things and making them fresh and new again, or uh, renovating them, if you will, giving them life or a new life. And those types of things truly do change the consciousness of myself, and I think those around me that I come in contact with. I've heard the feedback from people, so that's one of the reasons why I say I think I make a difference. Again, if it's only one person, hey, I've made a difference. There is a story about, and we've all heard it, the little boy that was on the beach throwing starfish back into the ocean, and somebody came up and asked him why, and he said, "Because I want them to still be alive." And the man said, "Yeah, but you can't save them all." And the little boy responded, "Yes, but the ones I can save, I am going to. The ones that I do get back in the water, they make the difference." And my husband Brian laughs at me because I'll do just silly little things sometimes, and whatever it is, and he says, "Oh, there's Kevin saving the world one whatever at a time." I will I'm the type of person that will pull a weed in the mall planter, or put a stone back where it belongs inside of an arrangement of plant of stones that are outside or something. And I'll throw a stone back where it's supposed to be out of the street. And Brian laughs at me, but it's like saving the world one rock at a time. I'm like, okay, I'll take it. So that pretty much concludes my thoughts. I had a few other things that I was going to share, but I think I'm done at the moment. There may be a part 2 to this talk at some point in the future, but I will open it up to the two beautiful souls that are here with me tonight. If they have any thoughts or feedback, feel free.
It is so hard not to project onto somebody else what you want them to be, particularly in a relationship, but any time. It's just hard to do that, to say, to divorce yourself from putting that out there. You know, in my mind, I want you to be this way. And yet we do it all the time, and we need to. Because when we're driving down the road, we want that person over there to stay in their lane, and we put them in that lane, and we truly trust and hope that they will stay there. And when they don't, it's like, ah! So parts of it, we have to take on faith and know that they will stay in their own lane. Otherwise, we would be too terrified to drive at all.
Yeah.
And yet, when we expect someone to be different than what they are, it's like my brother got married years ago, very briefly, to a young woman with a child, and he got divorced within a month. And it was like, why? He said, well, I thought she'd be different after we got married. And I was like, okay, you know, it's people don't just change when they get married, or if they do, sometimes they change in a not positive way. It's like, okay, I don't have to put my Sunday best ideas forward anymore now that we're married. But he thought she would change because they got married. Okay. And of course, I was, 4 or 5 years ahead of him marriage wise. So, and that would made no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah.
You expecting the person to marry? No, to change after they got married. So anyway, we do put our expectations out there and sometimes get hurt with that.
Yeah. And then you, going along with the first quote that Kevin said, people will show you who they are. And they always, even if they try to change, you project onto them and you have this big discussion, and they want to make you happy and they try to change, but then eventually things just can't stay and they unwind. And and it's not just marriage, sometimes it's friendship, and it's all kinds of relationships. I think people come into some relationships really wanting to do well and have them go well, and they just can't always hold up the facade or whatever you want to call it. I dated a guy once. It was during the time Bob and I were separated, and um, I'd heard some things about him before we got into a relationship, but I hadn't heard everything. And I thought, by the way he was treating me and how I felt, that, oh, he's not this person. It's just wonderful. It's wonderful. And I like these spiritual card decks, and you pull a card and it kind of tells you about it and you read it, and they're always kind of fun. And I had just gotten these cards that were from Native Americans. And there was a card in the deck that I can't remember the exact wording on it, but it was about false face and having a false life. So this guy's over my house visiting me one day. And I said, "Oh, I got a new card deck." And he goes, "Okay, for fun, whatever, I'll pull a card." And he pulls the false face card. He's like, "Oh, yeah, whatever." I said, "Oh, okay, well, yeah, all right, we'll shuffle the cards. And here, we just pick another card." And damn if he didn't pull the exact same card again. False face, false light, everything. And I just thought, wow, that's just when it happens like that, there's a message there. And he's like, "Oh, it was ridiculous stuff." And he throws the card away. And he turned out to be that false person. It was just so interesting. So it's like they try, and we all try. Yeah. And I try not to project. Um, Again, it's hard. Pull myself back with, through principle and prayer and but it's funny that when you project something and it's picked up and they don't like it, because some people are good at picking that out and watching your words and your actions, and they want to kind of throw it back at you. And you're never quite seen the same way, even though you try to make up or try to stay within your own little circle and bubble or out, lane, and not project. But we're human, we're human. Things hit us and in certain ways, and then, we want something, and or we want something for somebody or something for what we think is the right reason, but turns out to be not a good reason, and all kinds of things like that. Yeah. But that was a very good discussion that you came up spur of the moment. I'm pretty impressed.
But the thing is, also, part of it is I look at the world around me right now, and I, when we were kids, I'm 57 years old, and when we were kids, we were generally looking at people that were, who do we want to be when we grow up? It's like firemen or doctors or policemen or, you know, whomever we idolized as children. And I think that so much of that has changed and shifted because now people don't really have anybody they can idolize anymore. The people that they see, because we're just, so much stuff is just thrust upon us constantly, and the children and the youth of our world, I think they just have so much coming in constantly, and so they don't really have solid, I want to say solid role models. um, and that's a judgment on my part saying that, because I don't know. And yet I've lived in so many places in this country, and I've visited places around the world, and in Oklahoma, for example, so many kids think the only way to get anywhere or to rise up is either to be a country western singer or a great football player, because those are the two main things that have succeeded and come out of Oklahoma. Um, and so you see these kids that aren't doing a lot with their academics, but they're just solely focused on football. And then they see their football stars that they idolized fall because they end up in jail, or they, you know, don't handle the success of football and money and whatever that they've gotten. And then all of a sudden it's like, where are they? Their idols have just like been shattered.
Yeah.
And so many times I think we put our faith in our our faith in somebody that we idolize or that we look up to, in, I want to be like that, and then all of a sudden that just vanishes like that because something happens. um and that's part of what I was saying. It's like, when somebody shows you who they are the first time, believe them. I don't know who said the other quote that I immediately was thinking of when you were speaking.
Terry
When,
Cole Whitaker.
no, not that one. Yeah, yeah, and God rest her soul, she just passed away too, um not too long ago. The other quote what I was thinking was, "A leopard never changes its spots."
Oh, yes.
It's like if you, and I used to say this when I was younger, was once I would break up with somebody for whatever reason, I realized very quickly that if we got back together again, the exact same reason would be why we broke up again.
Yep.
Because they wouldn't have changed. And so it'd still be an issue. And so I was very quick that I didn't double back on past relationships out of
Right.
comfort or whatever, because whatever split us up the first time was going to be the same thing that split us up the next time and the time after that. And so, in a bigger picture, besides just our own personal relationships, um, the ideas that we put out towards those people that we sometimes idolize or look up to, um, if they show us something of themselves that's not worthy, then we have to like reevaluate what we're thinking, and that, oh well, this person maybe isn't somebody that I should look up to or try to emulate because maybe they're not the best example of who I want to be. That changed a lot for me because when I started doing Science of Mind, all of a sudden I had this whole new gambit of people. And then there were a couple of Science of Mind people, that New Thought people, that did things that were slightly sketchy. And, you know, they quickly kind of slid off to the side for me. And I was like, okay, well, that person is like having her or their his or her personal issues in life, and they're doing their human thing right now. So I'm just gonna set them off to the side over here because I don't want to be successful the way they necessarily have become, because that was questionable. But that's a whole nother story. But even in the principles of Science of Mind, there's still people that, like Lynn said, we're all human, and they all can fall to that human level of making mistakes. We all do it. And thankfully, we can all grow and change from within so that we can attract what we need to, and as I said, move in the direction of where we want to be and where our next greatest adventure is for us individually. So I had the TV set up for a video, some music playing, but I lost it. So I quickly pulled it up on my phone, and I'm going to see if I can get it to play, because it's a song that I would love to share with you all. And is that coming through clear?
So far.
Don't you think you owe it to yourself to look inside of you and take the time to realize what you are here to do? Don't you think the time has finally come to stand and face the fire, to walk into the blazing sun and claim your heart's desire? You were placed upon this earth with a mission to complete. And now the time has come, so stand up strong and claim your destiny. You must move in the direction of your dreams and act as if they've already come true. Even when there is no hope, or so it seems, move in the direction of your dreams. Do you think that you're not good enough to be a shining star? Or do you think because the road looks tough that you won't get that far? Do you
believe that only some are great and others left for chance. Or maybe that it's just too late. A futile circumstance. You were placed upon the earth with a mission to complete. And now the time has come, so stand up strong and claim your destiny. You must move in the direction of your dreams and act as if they've already come true. Even when there is no hope, or so it seems, move in the direction of your dreams. And when the world feels like it's crashing all around you, and the clouds of doubt are darkening your day, well then just be still and know that there's something deep within you that will always know the way. You must move in the direction of your dreams and act as if they've already come true. For even when there is no hope, or so it seems, move in the direction of your dreams. Move in the direction of your dreams.
So that was actually, I can say, a friend of mine, and I know Sue Ellen also knows Michael Gott.
Oh,
And
yes.
I think you do too.
Yes.
Michael was and is an amazing musician. He had quite the story of his life and his journey. He is currently a senior minister at the Houston Unity Church, and his music actually was one of my go-tos for growth, and as a person, he is somebody that I could actually look up to and say, I would like to aspire to be more like him. And thankfully, he never let me down. I put my faith in him and being a good person, and he truly stepped up to the plate every time I'd ever see him or hear him speak. And I watched him go from being a practitioner at the Dallas Center for Spiritual Living to becoming a minister and then a senior minister at Unity. So the words to his songs, though, just resonate for me. They did in 2009, the first time I heard them, and when I first met him in Denver, and they still do. They still have so much meaning and so much empowerment behind them, because the one line, when the world is crashing all around you and it feels like there's no place to turn or no hope, there is still always. So, and with that, is there anything else?
No, thank you. It was wonderful. It's good to hear Michael sing.
Always, yes.
He was
So Ellen,
happy.
will you pray us out?
I can. So I breathe in and recognize that there is only God. There is one power that is absolutely everywhere present in and through and as everything that exists. I know that that power is God. It is in us. It is through us. It is as us. It is in me. It is through me. It is as me. with the power of God moving through me, through each of us, through all of us, because there's really only one of us here, and it is God. With that power that is God moving through me, I speak my word, knowing that this time that we have shared together has touched hearts, has touched minds and souls. And there are words here that each of us can take. And when we re-listen to this talk, if we do, there is even more that we take away. Each of us is expanded in some way, having heard these words this evening. And so I give thanks for this awareness of God moving through us all. And so I release this prayer into the law that says yes to my word. And we affirm it together by saying, and so,
And
it is.
so it is.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So I also forgot almost that with Inner Journey, we are a tithing community. And I'm looking for my piece of paper here with our phone number on it. I think that's it. Nope, that's not it. Sue Ellen, can you tell us what the text number is?
Yes.
And the word tonight is love.
It's 405 337 9739. 405 337 9739.
And that's a number if you feel so inclined to tithe to Inner Journey after this talk. That would be wonderful. That is one of the ways we continue to maintain and continue to grow and move forward on our paths. Again, the word tonight is love for this particular talk. And I'm glad that you're all here. I am happy for everybody that may listen to this after the fact on YouTube. Thank you, Lynn, for always taking care of loading that up for us. Lynn is our YouTube guru and a cat guru also.
Cats.
And I hope everyone has a wonderful and blessed evening, and we'll see you again in the future.
Awesome. Thank you.